Hi, so today we'll be talking about DevOps and how difficult DevOps is. Because when I started my career, I was a front-end developer, a UI developer, and I used to use the technologies like JavaScript, TypeScript, React.js, and everything related to coding and everything. So I started searching about DevOps and I wanted to see that whether DevOps is easy or whether it is difficult to like switch my career to, because I was like very much keen into the operation team and how deployment works and how release takes place and everything. So the motive of making this tutorial is to share my knowledge with everyone, because I know that a lot many people or a lot many students who are struggling to find the best course for themselves and they're not able to get the free tutorial in which they can learn things in a simpler and a better way. So don't worry, it is not very difficult. You just need to have patience and you just need to understand the concept. So firstly, DevOps is not about coding, like it's not a lot of coding is not required for this. Secondly, it is a methodology, it is a culture, which means that already if you are working in a company, you know that we follow agile methodology, and in agile methodology the chances of errors are like very less. So it follows that method only, because earlier we used to use waterfall method in which there was chances of errors were like very high, but in this agile methodology the chances of errors are like very less, because at every step you can return back and you can modify and you can see that your work is fine or not. Supposedly in DevOps, basically there are two, like in this diagram also, if you see, let me take the pen. In this diagram also you can see there is a developer team and there is an operation team. So that work of the developer team is to first plan, like obviously the client will tell you that what you exactly have to build, then they will plan it, then the developers will code it, then they will build it and then test. So at every phase there are chances of going back to the previous stage, so the efficiency and the chances of error is like very less. So likewise the developer team will be doing its part, and once they are done with testing and everything, they will be releasing it to the operation team. So operation team is what is operation team is first it is checking on the local machine that whether it is working or not, whether your code is working or not. So they will first check on the local machine, and first they will deploy it, whatever tools they'll be using, I'll be talking in the later part of the video, and then they will operating it. Like obviously you have to operate it also, you have to see that whether your application or whether your work is is correctly working or not, because everything depends on the footfall, how many users are using that particular application. So what is the downtime and how it is running. So the operation is very much required, and at the end they will be monitoring it. So there are so many tools which are involved in this. So what I'm going to teach you, so let's get started. So these are few benefits of DevOps. Like DevOps is faster, it is better product, it has better productivity, faster issue resolution and reduced complexity. It has greater scalability and availability, more stable operating environments, better resource utilization, greater automation, greater visibility into system outcomes, greater innovation. Basically these terminologies you have to learn for your interview, because if you want to give the answers in the interview, then you should have some words in your vocabulary. So you should learn all these words so that you will be presenting yourself in a very confident manner. So overall, if you see that DevOps is like less errors and it is more fast, and it is an automated process, because we cannot do everything manually. and because AI, artificial intelligence and ML is already on its way, or everybody is working on that, then obviously we should forget about doing everything manually, because when we do something manually there are chances of high errors. So in DevOps, certain many tools have been created in which what happens that automation and everything is much more easier. Now if you see this graph, check, my video is not coming. Okay, if you again see this diagram which I have told you, or which I have shown you earlier, so in this all the tools which handle certain part is given here. So we'll start from the code itself. When the plan will come, when the client will tell you that how to plan it, then you have to code it. And first when you will code, or the developer will code, he has to put that code in some place. You can see that there he has to keep it somewhere from where other people can access it. So for that we have Git and GitLab. The developer will push the code in the Git and GitLab. We will study all these tools in this, and then after keeping the code, which is also known as repository, we will be pushing it, we will be building it. So we have these tools like Cradle and Nexus for this. Now if you have to, developer have to test it. So for testing we have many tools from Selenium to Azure, and they will be testing on their local machine as well. So they have unit testing. So testing software, there are many software. Now for the release we have CI/CD tool which is known as Jenkins. So CI/CD tool is very important. Jenkins plays a very important role in all this, because it will be handling all the continuous integration and continuous deployment, and the connection between the developer and the operation team. This CI/CD will be handling. That's why it is coming in the center, you can see. Now for the deployment we have AWS, we have Dockers, like where we will be deploying it. Now for the operation we have Chef and Ansible and Kubernetes also, and at the end we will be studying that how we can monitor it, we can use it, or we can monitor it using Grafana. Now this is the example workflow, that how everything works, because many tools I have told you, so you will not be able to grasp all the tool at once. But firstly, if you will listen me line by line, then you will understand everything properly. So first of all, like I have told you, developer writes the code, and then the developer will push the code to the GitHub. Okay, he will keep the code in the GitHub, and then the Jenkins trigger build. Jenkins automatically will triggers the build, and it will pull the code from the GitHub, and it compiles the code using Maven and generate artifacts. Now it will doing it automatically. We don't need to like do it manually. So in Jenkins we will create certain pipelines which will automatically compile up the code, and it will generate the artifacts. Then after going in this, it will test run automatically using different tools like Selenium or JUnit for functionality, and even Trivi for vulnerabilities. Basically it will see that whether the code is working fine or not, so it will test it. Later on there will be Docker images of these codes. Like you can say if you got the code, now you have to convert that code into the you have everything now in your hand, like tested properly, code and everything. If in case in the Jenkins pipeline they find that there is some error in the code, then they will give it back to the developer, and the developer will again push it to the GitHub. And likewise there will be not as such complication, and there will be no fight among the developer and operation team. So the image will be created and the image will be pushed to the Docker Hub. Now from the Docker Hub there is Terraform, which will give an infrastructure, like which will create an infrastructure and deploys the containerized application. Basically now the deployment work has started, like the Kubernetes will start deploying whatever application they have containerized. We will study all these terminologies, but you should know very little things in this. Then for monitoring purpose we have Prometheus, but we can use Grafana because Grafana is used everywhere nowadays. So it will tell alerts if anything goes wrong. Supposedly it will tell the downtime, the footfall is coming and they're not able to access. So everything they will tell, because application is not a one go work. It needs a lot many years and months and a lot of efforts. So you have to see monitoring also, because supposedly today Facebook or certain app today 10 people are using, but later on 100 and 200 people or lakhs of people will be using that. So eventually you need to scale that, you have to monitor that, you have to see that every servers are properly available or not, you have to see the cost optimization also. So everything need to be monitored, and through these Grafana tool the alert and everything will be directed and everything will be rebuilt again. Not rebuilt, whatever error is there they will be solving that error eventually. Now again I've given one more example so that it will be very easy for you to understand. So there is a developer pushing the code which is known as repository. Now the Jenkins job, which is continuous integration, is to pull the code from the GitHub. Then the work of the Maven is to build and test. Then it will give to SonarQube, which will do analysis, like it will analyze it whether the code is right or not. Then it will push to Docker Hub, like it will create an image and it will push the image to the Docker Hub. Then the Docker Hub will scan the image, and then through Trivy it will go for the deployment, Argo CD and EKS cluster, and then Slack will send the notification. Like this is a bit different, this is a bit different flowchart, but all the tools are quite different. You have to talk about GitHub, Jenkins, Maven, SonarQube, Docker Hub. Trivy also comes in picture sometimes, and you can see EKS cluster, or you can say Kubernetes, and at the end Slack, or what is for monitoring. For the monitoring you can say Grafana also. Now the things which you, or the technology which you have to learn for the DevOps is, firstly we will start with Linux, because as a software engineer you must be knowing what exactly Linux is and how your computer talk to the server, and how you can, whatever you create manually, supposedly there is a desktop and you have to create a folder on the desktop, and then you have to create a file. So how you will create it through a terminal, which is a software engineer job. So how we can do that? So firstly we should know that what exactly Linux is. So Linux is a free and open source software that operates on its operating system. Linux commands are a type of unique command or shell procedure. They are the basic tools used to interact with Linux individually. Linux commands are used to perform a variety of tasks, including displaying information about files and directories. So how you have to create the file, where you have to create the file. Supposedly you have to create a file inside the GitHub. So this is your this is your GitHub, and you have to create a file in the GitHub. So again and again you are not going to go in the GitHub and manually you will create the file. For that you have to use Linux, from where you can easily create directories, or you can create folders. You don't need to manually go and make it. So for Linux you should know the basic commands. I believe all the software engineers are knowing that, but still, for making your ground more stronger, you should learn the basics, and I have created those basic commands for you. Like I have created a video of a basic command so that you'll be able to understand. And I have just check. So basically what I have done is I've opened my terminal. I don't know whether it is visible or not. I've opened my terminal and I have let's open the terminal and start from scratch. So let me clear the terminal, and if I want to see that where in which directory or where I am right now, so you will press pwd. So they are saying that you are inside the Sundus Hussain desktop Linux. I have to get out from this. So I'm changing the directory. So cd means changing the directory, dot means two dots means I'm coming out from this Linux file to desktop, and desktop to Sundus Hussain. So now see what is your present working directory. So this is your present working directory. So we'll be starting from the scratch. In the user Sundus Hussain, you have to see what all the files are there. So you will press ls, you will check. So these are all the files which are there in my user Sundus Hussain. But if I want to go in a certain file inside, so let's suppose you have to go inside desktop. So you will just copy this and then you will say change directory and you will write the desktop, and then you will go inside this. Now I have to see that where I am, so I will say pwd, which is present working directory, and you can see that you are in the users, and earlier you were in user Sundus Hussain, and now you are in user this desktop. Now in the desktop I have to see what all folders and everything I have. So I will again press ls, and these are the folders which I have on the desktop. You can see, let's say supposedly this book and JavaScript. Let's see whether I have this on the desktop or not. So see, I have books also and I have JavaScript also, this. So basically this is how you will see. Now if I have to create one new folder on the desktop, so generally you can create a folder on the desktop, but through this you can create like mkdir. Let's suppose you have to create one new folder. I already have a folder named as Linux, so I will create something else, mkdir Linux 2025. So see, mkdir, I have created a folder. Let's see on the desktop, is it there? It has created or not? Yeah, it is here, Linux 2025. So it is empty right now, and now I have to create a file inside that. Let's see where we are right now. pwd, we are on the desktop. But if I have to go inside this Linux 2025, then I have to again do cd this. Now pwd, I am inside this. See, you are inside it. Now if I have to clear, see, there is a lot of chaos on my screen, so if I have to clear it, I will simply write clear and my screen is clear. Now again I will check where I am, pwd, you are inside Linux 2025. Now if I have to create one file here, then how can I create a file here? There's a command called touch. let me create file 1 inside it. And yeah, file 1. Now let's check. Linux 2025, file 1 is created here. This file is not a text file. I want to write something inside it. So let me create one more file, which is file2.txt. Now this is a text file. In case I have to write something inside it, then I need some. See, text file is empty. If I go back to the terminal and I have to see that whether what is if I have to write something inside this text file, so what I'm going to do is, you have seen that text file 2 is empty. If I'll check, text file 2 is empty. But if I have to write something inside this, then I have command vi, and then I will copy paste file 2, enter, and then here I can insert. You can say I insert. You can press I, and that means you are inserting inside. Now supposedly I have to write, hi, you must be having fun. Now I have to write this inside the file. So I have written this, hi, you must be having fun. I have to come out from the file. Then you have to just press colon. I'm just writing it so that it will be easy for you to remember. Colon WQ. You have to write colon WQ after escaping. I'm not writing here, that will not be visible. So just escape it and colon WQ, which means it will be saved. Enter. And now let me check. File 2 is, hi, you must be having fun. So it's written in file 2 text. Now supposedly I have to okay, I am, let me see pwd where I am right now. I am inside Linux 2025. Now supposedly I have to delete file 1 from this. Then what I'm going to do is rm, which means remove file 1, and just check now. Your file 1, let me check. Your file 1 is removed, only have file 2. Okay, now I'll make one more file. One more thing, if you want to see that what is there, if you don't want to go and switch to the desktop again and again, and you want to see from here itself that what is written in file 2, then you can do cat file 2, the name of the file, and you'll get, hi, you must be having fun. Now I will create one more file. Now I will be creating one more file, that, let's say, file3.txt. okay, now I have to copy the text of this into file 3. Then what I'm going to do is, I will simply say copy file2.txt, and I will write the name of the file on which I want to copy. See, now to see that earlier your file 3 was empty, now you want to see that your file 3 is empty or not. So just do cat file3.txt. see, it has copied the text in the file 3. Now just remove this file, it will be removed. If you want to see that, let me see pwd, what is my present, yeah, this is only. If you want to see what are the folders inside Linux 2025, so ideally there should be only one file, file 2, if you are okay. You just see, so inside this I will press ls, list of the, so there is only one file, file 2 is there because I have deleted file 3. If I want to remove this also, then I will say rm and just copy paste, so that it will be more easier for me. Okay, now check ls. Now there is no file. pwd, you can also see we are in this and there are no files. Got it? Now if I want to come on my desktop, then how we can do? We will simply go cd space dot, which means change directory. Now see pwd where I am on the desktop. If I want to remove the desktop and go on the users on the set, then I will copy, then I will again change the directory to now pwd. So this is a very interesting session, and hope you have had fun. These many commands are enough for today, and this much is required. If in case 2-3 commands more are required, I'll attach the commands in the description, and if you have any issues you can message me or email me.